Hey guys, I'm Beagle, Beegs, whatever floats your boat, you can call me either of those. I was the rank 11 Kaisa on the North American server for a while, and I'm a current high diamond AD carry player. Kaisa has been one of my personal favorites since her release in Season 8, and she's one of the champs I'm most comfortable on alongside Lucian and Vayne. So I overall fell in love with Kaisa because she has such a high skill ceiling, and her carry potential is absolutely insane at all elos. Not only that, but she also plays best with some of my favorite supports in the entire game. Combine her aggressive playstyle with her high DPS output and you have yourself one hell of a carry if you actually take the time to watch this guide and master her. With that being said, if you guys appreciate the Kaisa guide, this is 3.5 years of Kaisa information all put into one video for you guys. So please, I beg of you, if you enjoy it, go drop a follow on my Twitch and leave a like on this video. You can watch me play Kaisa alongside all the other AD carries, and if by any chance you guys have any questions, and I mean any of them, I'd love to answer them all on my stream. I do OPGG reviews and even VOD reviews to help you guys out. I try to be informative as possible. Thank you, and let's get to the guide.
I wield the abyss.
Alright, so first and foremost, I'm going to go over her rune pages. You have a typical go-to rune page and an alternate one for specific games. Your go-to rune page is going to be Halo Blades to start. This is simply her best trading tool. Kaisa early game values quick trades. By combining 3 quick autos with a Cathian Rain and Void Seeker, your early game burst is literally one of a kind and is sure to surprise most AD carries you play against. Your second rune in the domination tree is going to be Taste of Blood. Personally, I don't like Taste of Blood as a rune that much, but it's decent sustain and there's nothing else you really want in this section. If you have a Leona or a Nautilus, you could opt for Cheap Shot for the extra damage, but sustain is typically best for Kaisa's already painful laning phase, so just take Taste of Blood. Your third rune in this tree is Eyeball Collection. This rune is actually great for Kaisa. As a champ, Kaisa is a great duelist. She likes to walk around the map and look for kills once she hits her power spikes. For example, her early Q evolve is a power spike. So stacking this rune is pretty damn easy for her. Stacking it gives you more AD, so it's a solid rune. And the fourth and final rune slot in the domination tree is going to go to Ravenous Hunter. More sustain throughout the game is insanely good. Having sustain in your runes means you don't have to spend the actual gold in-game to itemize lifesteal. Very rarely you can take Ultimate Hunter, but I recommend taking Ultimate Hunter with super high CC team comps. Most of the time you want to take Ravenous Hunter though. And for your secondary rune tree, you have 2 options depending on the game and the lane you're playing against. In poke lanes and in most of my games, I take Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. Biscuits give you mana and health sustain in lane, which is important because staying for enough gold to buy your early Q evolve for Kaisa is like almost mandatory. And I take Cosmic Insight because of Summoner Spell cooldown reduction. Your flash goes from a 5-minute cooldown to a 4-minute cooldown, your heal to a 3-minute and 30-second cooldown, and if you take Exhaust almost every game like me, you should be taking Exhaust almost every game on Kaisa, by the way. It reduces Exhaust to only a 3-minute cooldown. So it's insanely good. You want to take isolated fights as often as possible on Kaisa with your power spikes, and having your summoners up to do so basically guarantees you win it as long as you play well. If they don't have a poke lane and it's more of a brawly lane, you can take Presence of Mind for mana sustain and Bloodline for more built-in sustain. But if they do have a lot of melee champs, let's say like Warwick, Fiora, and Leona, then take Alacrity because you're going to be kiting a lot more and the extra attack speed gets more value as you get more DPS out faster. So, after all is said and done, here are your rune pages. Now, on to arguably her most talked about section, her items. Look, every Kaisa player is entitled to what they think is right, and they have the right to build what they want, but this is my personal opinion, and I think these builds are best for her depending on the game situation, of course. Some builds I've thought up myself, I'm sure I'm not the only one by the way, and others I've refined. So take this section how you will, but trust me, these work great as of now. Also, for a little disclaimer, itemizing Galeforce instead of Kraken is still very viable, and I'll explain when you do later on. So this is going to be a quick little section here, but this is what you typically build for early Q evolve. You typically itemize for early Q evolves when you're going a build that includes the collector. So you're going to need a Noon Quiver, a Pickaxe, and a Serrated Dirk. So I'm going to start off with the most popular option in her most itemized build path, the AD Collector build. This build used to be my personal favorite back when it wasn't so popular on Kaisa and her go-to build, but the Collector build is centered around bursting one target at a time. It is an extremely high damage build made for killing squishies. Let's say they have a lot of range damage dealing squishies that need to be bursted down as fast as possible to limit enemy DPS. That's where this build shines. When I say a lot, I mean around 3 or more range squishy champions, but this build is best for snowballing your lead in my personal opinion if you build it at the right time. The Collector Execute allows you to confirm kills, pushing your gold lead even further and further from the enemy AD carry. With this build, pushing in side lanes is a really viable option. Kaisa in general is very difficult to fight while isolated against her. This build pushes that fact even further. So it's here I want to state why Kaisa is so dangerous when fighting her isolated with no other units around. When I say units, this includes minions, champions, camps, etc. Her Q, a Cathian Rain, goes to multiple targets if pressed within a group of enemies, but if you were to press Q while not around others and against one singular target, your damage is increased exponentially. Here, I'll show you real quick.
It's fight or flight. Only now I do not run.
See the damage difference? It's insane. Take into account, not just for fights, but for trades as well, your surroundings. If you're isolated, your chances of winning a trade or a fight go up so much more. Anyway, let's get on to the next build. The Phantom Dancer Kite build. Okay, so this one's a bit different from the standard Collector build. As the Collector build is centered around bursts, this build is centered around Kaisa's great DPS potential. With this build, instead of prioritizing your early Q evolve like you would with the Collector build by buying Noon Quiver, Pickaxe, and Serrated Dirk, you prioritize full buying Kraken. For the earliest Q evolve with this build, you need Kraken Slayer and 2 longswords. Once you get to your Phantom Dancer, this build really starts to power on. Phantom Dancer is such a fantastic item for Kaisa. It gives movement speed from attacks, it ghosts you, allowing you to move through units, and most importantly, you get insane amount of attack speed from its passive. You typically want to prioritize this Kaisa build when you're against a lot of tanks and melee champs that you need to kite and dish out tons of DPS. Hence why most of the time I'm going this build, I'm building Lord Dominus Regards as a 3rd item and then IE. Most tanks and bruisers love armor, and the innate shredding potential with this build mixed with Kaisa's passive makes for an insane damage dealer. So here I'm going to showcase a clip of me killing a full build Garen while a whole item down. I know this isn't the best example, but trust me, this build is the best of the best if you utilize it correctly. That Baron was kind of greedy to go for though, after our Anivia died. I really didn't want to have the R. And in this next clip, I'm going to show you why the Phantom Dancer build is so insanely broken because of its maximum DPS potential. You could also build GA, but I don't think I needed this game. This guy, can he beat me? I guess not. And on to the final build of this video, the Collector Hybrid. So picking Kaisa when your team's full AD, not a problem. I got the build just for you. A lot like the Collector build, this build is centered around burst. The only difference is the damage off of your W, if used correctly in a combo, is insane. With this build, you're itemizing Gnasher's Tooth after Collector for extra attack speed and DPS, as well as your W evolve. This build is centered around using your evolved W in your combos. An example would be auto WQ for a simple one. As you saw, the burst there is no joke. Not only is this build a mixed damage to be a full-on Void Hunter's hybrid carry, but the survivability is fantastic. This is because itemizing Zanya's on Kaisa is so good, and it's legitimately a good item on her, unlike almost all of the other marksmen in the AD carry role. Also, with this build, utilizing R plus W combo is essential. Poking them down with W from range, getting its W cooldown reset, and then going in for the RW is the playstyle you're looking for. I'll be showcasing RWing later on in the video, so make sure you stick around. It's probably, in my personal opinion, the most important and essential thing to get down on Kaisa. Oh, let's fucking go. I got him. When to go Galeforce versus when to go Kraken Slayer. So this is talked about a lot, Kraken versus Galeforce. Which is the better mythic on Kaisa? My answer to that is, most of the time, it's going to be Kraken Slayer. But, in some instances, Galeforce is very good on this champion. You opt to buy Galeforce as your mythic item when they have one or less tank on their team, there's a lot of squishies on the enemy team, as well as skill shots. Is that Lux and Jinx causing you trouble mid-game? Galeforce into auto attack range, auto them, and RWQ them. Or, using Galeforce to dodge that Lux Q in a team fight to stay alive and dish out more DPS is also a great use for it. With Galeforce, you want to use this item more as a pick playstyle. Walk around the map, W from afar, R Galeforce Q in, and they're insta-dead. Now, this is the section you're going to be wanting to pay the big attention to. I'm going to give you the essential tech to make you go from a good Kaisa player to an insane Kaisa player. So let's get right to it. First thing I want to start off with is R plus W combo. You heard me talk about it multiple times above, and when I tell you this is essential to being a good Kaisa player, I mean it. You can R in and cancel the animation of your W completely, making you able to start auto attacking as soon as you arrive onto your target. This is how it works. When you have your passive mark on an enemy and you're able to ult to them, you press R wherever you want in the circle and flick your mouse to the direction of the player. Look, this takes a little bit of practice. Go into practice 2 and practice it for about 10 minutes and you'll have it down pat, I promise. The reason this is so good is it's basically a guaranteed way to hit your W. It's great damage and it's literally guaranteed. You'll see me use this almost every single time I ulti in anywhere. I'm always utilizing the RW combo, and you should be using this every time you ult in as well and make it second nature, just like it is for me. The next thing I want to talk about is auto attack resetting with Killer Instinct. It's kind of crazy to me that a lot of Kaisa players don't know of this, but it's an insanely good tool that could be winning you those insanely close fights. Essentially, much like Sivir W, when you auto attack and then press W on Sivir right after, your next auto attack comes out immediately and doesn't require a set amount of wait time like a normal auto attack would. You can do the same exact thing with Kaisa ult. It's simple, and this is bread and butter. As soon as your auto attack is coming out as a projectile, press R immediately and your next auto attack will come out instantly. Practice this on training dummies for 5 minutes and I guarantee you this will be second nature for you. I'll show you a few clips of how I utilize this in a real game. Pay close attention. So, next thing I want to talk about, using Killer Instinct to escape over terrain. Much like in Ezreal E, you can R over terrain. Not only that, you can also leapfrog Kaisa ult much like a Flash or like an Ezreal E. When you're getting ganked or losing your fight, you can use a quick R to ult to safety over a wall, then they're forced to either flash or you're completely out. Depending on the champ, of course, you know, if you can't really get away from a Kassadin. Now onto Evolve animation canceling. This is a pretty widely known thing already, but you can cancel Kaisa's Evolve animations by clicking on the icon pop-up of her current evolvable ability and pressing B at almost the exact same time. It does take a little bit of practice, but once you get it down, it's literally bread and butter. Now, did you know that you can also Evolve cancel with her E and her W as well? Yes, you can Evolve cancel on the fly with E, but I urge you guys to come to my stream and ask me how to figure that out. Sorry, I have to fucking plug. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I have to. Understanding Kaisa's Void Seeker. Kaisa's W is easily her strongest early game trading ability if used properly, and I see so many other Kaisa players not utilize this insane burst potential correctly. And I'm going to make this section quick. At 3 stacks of your passive, when you press W and it hits the enemy with 3 stacks, your stacks explode, dealing insane amounts of burst damage. When your W is evolved, on the other hand, you only need 2 passive stacks on the enemy you're attacking. This is because pre-evolved W applies 2 stacks of her passive and her evolved Void Seeker applies 3. Make sure you understand this and refrain from using this in early game unless they are at 3 or more stacks of plasma. Because if you don't utilize this correctly, you could be missing out on a lot of extra damage. Kaisa's fastest early game combo. This one isn't so necessary to learn, but it's good to understand. Again, this section is going to be quick as I'm just going to showcase a video and explain. It utilizes all of your abilities for maximum damage output and burst potential. You're going to need to have the R auto attack reset down for this one. Use Hail of Blades for a quick 3 stacks of your passive, R auto attack reset, and then instantly WQ at 4 stacks. This combo is best utilized in 1v1s and isolated fights. Again, this isn't mandatory, but it's insanely good to understand. So this is another section you want to pay close attention to if you really want to take your Kaisa game to the next level. In my personal opinion, this is where most Kaisa players and Kaisa herself struggles. Her early game isn't the best as she's forced to fight minions, making her Q spread and not do isolated damage like I talked about before. Her range is low at a whopping 525 auto attack range, and she can get poked out super duper easily. Now, a lot of Kaisa players could legitimately be winning their lane at level 1. Kaisa as a champ has her plasma passive from level 1, unlike Vayne's Silverbolts. Kaisa is one of the best level 1 champs in the game, and if others tell you otherwise, I'm gonna be honest, bro. They're just flat out wrong, and they're most likely fucking bad at the game. No offense. Understand this though, you only want to fight at level 1 in matchups that favor you. For example, if you're playing Nautilus Kaisa, your level 1 potential is actually off the fucking charts. Naut hooks at level 1, and auto attacks them to root them, that's 2 stacks of your passive already. Pair that with Hail of Blades autos and Q and you shred. On the other hand, if you have a Soraka Kaisa versus a Misfortune Lulu, you literally have no chance at winning a level 1, as the matchup for them is obviously better considering Soraka doesn't take heal at level 1. So please, and I mean this, fight at level 1 if you have a great all-in support that has a good level 1. You can win lane before it even starts. Also, on a side note, cheesing Bush level 1 with Panth, Braum, Nautilus, etc. is an easy way to start off the lane with a kill. So when it comes down to Kaisa's laning phase, you want to take quick, short, worthy trades with Hail of Blades and Q. Look to fight at level 1 if the matchup at level 1 favors you, for example, Kaisa Pantheon versus Vayne Nami. Use a Cathy and Rain to shove for level 2 power spike and look to punish overextending lane opponents. Kaisa's Q ability is a minion execute, meaning it instantly kills minions under a certain threshold of HP. This is why Kaisa is so good at hitting level 2 before most AD carries. Focus on farming and hitting level 6 for even better follow-up, survivability, and kill potential with Killer Instinct. Remember, Kaisa's laning phase is not that great, but picking her with a good support champ that synergizes well with her can make it something insane. Obviously, certain things change if you win or lose lane, yeah, but overall, the most important thing is getting your evolves for a Cathy and Rain and Supercharge. In all of the builds I listed beforehand in the guide, you get both evolves by 3 items at most. Winning lane is obviously the goal, right? But sometimes just winning lane isn't enough. Being able to snowball your lead after destroying your lane is just as important, and it'll help you 1v9 your games that seem lost because of an inting top laner or an inting jungler. There's a lot to take into account when it comes to your game plan after laning phase. Do you sit in a side lane and farm up and use your advantage to make yourself stronger by gathering gold from towers, lane minions, and camps to get that big Infinity Edge power spike so you can 1v5 team fights? Or are you that confident that you're going to be able to carry those team fights at Dragon or Rift Herald right out of laning phase? To be honest, it all depends on who's fed and how many people are fed. If your jungler and top both inted and you have to deal with a 4-0 Darius and a 4-0 Viego as a 3-0 Kaisa right out of laning phase, grouping with your team for objectives is probably not the play. Go to top lane and farm, siege the tower, and cross-map the enemy jungler's camps. If your team ends for the dragon, there's literally nothing you can do about it, but try to ping them away before they do it. Remember, in solo queue you can literally, and I cannot stress this enough, you can only trust yourself. Avoiding those 2 fed champs until you get your power spikes is important. Seize opportunities where they're out of position with your team and try to collect their shutdown gold. Once you hit that big power spike that you need, group for 5v5s and carry through your mechanics. Remember, Kaisa is one of the best split pushing AD carries in the game, and fighting her isolated is extremely dangerous. Play to that strength. Vacuuming the map. This goes hand in hand with what I just stated. Take your jungler's camps, take their jungler's camps in topside while the enemy team is at drag, take scuttles, take lane minions, take f***ing everything. Kaisa is so good at farming, it's extremely easy to average 9 to 10 CS a minute with her by doing this, and it's important because this is one of her strengths. If you really want to snowball your lead correctly and hit that power spike as soon as possible, make sure you're vacuuming up the map like you're supposed to. You'll see me do what I just talked about on my stream often as hell in games, and most of the time I end up carrying those same exact games. If your team is inting and you know it's a bad fight, do not int with them. The most important thing as an AD carry, not just as Kaisa, is obtaining gold efficiently with dying as little as possible. Use this for any AD carry champ, not just Kaisa. So when your team's going to int, go ahead and walk up to the top side of the jungle and start doing the camps. Get yourself some gold. Don't die with them. And here are some very quick closing tips. Much like Jinx's Zap, Kaisa's W comes out even when CC'd, so if you use it right before you get CC'd, it's still going to come out. Your E ability ghosts you, meaning you can walk through creeps without getting creep blocked. And I'm going to remind you here, Kaisa's level 1 is really strong. I cannot stress this enough, don't forget to look to fight if the matchup favors your guys' level 1. At the end of the day, Kaisa overall is an extremely fun and rewarding champ to play, most of the time anyway. Her skill ceiling is super high and her more in-depth stuff is harder to learn, but I can all honestly say it's worth the journey. Since her release, she's been in and out of the meta often, but in lower elos like Plat and below, Kaisa is a staple champ I recommend for climbing as an AD carry. She has so much outplay potential with her mobility, and she scales so well, and she's a fantastic farming champ. All of which, in my opinion, is exactly what you want to carry your games as a marksman. Now, this part, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you genuinely took the time out of your day to watch this, or even some of this, I love you so much. I put my heart and so much hard work into this guide to try to help you guys get started with one of my favorite champs. And if you guys have any questions regarding any AD carry, not just Kaisa, I play all of the AD carries, please stop by my stream. Their support means the absolute world to me. And if anyone asks how to play Kaisa or something, I'd appreciate if you shared this to them and asked them to give it a like. Again, thank you so much. I love every single one of you. I'll leave you with some of my best and personal favorite Kaisa plays. And one last time, from the bottom of the rank 11 Kaisa's heart, thank you.
This is why I came back.
In the quiet, all my thoughts run free. So I drown them out at night with my TV.